Hi, everyone. Welcome back to WWW with Daryl Ann. Always happy to see you, the old friends, the new friends. Just great to be with you and to share with you. And I want to show you something that really made me happy today. As an older person, I got the latest issue of AARP magazine. You seniors out there probably know this magazine. And I saw a picture of George Clooney on the front. You can see George Clooney here. And George Clooney has graying hair. And I looked at it and thought, wow, I don't feel so old. George Clooney has graying hair. So he's kind of, going to be joining our club pretty soon. And I thought that was a real lift for us older folks. So I'm just going to tell you, when I start out tonight, I'm going to be zigzagging a little bit before I kind of get back to our original pickup where we talked about Keith and Keith's stories. So I'm going to zigzag a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that is because I was reminded by one of my kids. One of my kids said to me, Mom, way back on your first video or second video when you talked about my first job at the telephone company, it actually really wasn't your first job. Remember? And I said, really? And she said, yeah, remember that story about when you were in high school? Just ignore that, folks. When you were in high school and something happened to you when you went to work at a clothing store? And I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I forgot. It was really just a part-time job. I actually started working when I was like 15 years old. And yes, indeed, I took, this was really the first of many, many disasters to follow. And I took a job at Christmas time at a company in local town nearby, and actually it was a retail store called the Clothes Horse. Clothes Horse, very upscale retail. And it was just for Christmas, and when I walked in, I answered the ad and I walked in, and the owner looked a little ominous, but I was young. I'm sure everybody was just great. So she said, okay, this is a seasonal job. Are you able to wrap packages? And I said, oh yeah, I do very, very well with Christmas wrapping. Lie. So, okay, the store was busy. The store was like crazy busy, very popular, with very kind of wealthy women who came in to buy their elegant clothes. And the owner was very elegant also. Very, oh yes, yes. How are you, darling? Nice to see you. So I'm in the back, second day of the job, second day. I'm in the back trying furtively to try to figure out how to wrap presents. And the owner of the store had a huge poodle, French poodle, the big kind. And the dog's name was Coco. Coco. Coco was like a sandy colored dog. Coco was her baby, her darling, her everything. I get it. But Coco was always underfoot. And there was a very small area where we were wrapping Christmas gifts. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. The woman next to me said, honey, have you wrapped Christmas gifts before? Well, actually, not too many. My mother usually does that. Oh, okay. Well, just try to keep up. And I was so nervous. I was so nervous. And I had a pair of scissors in my hand because I was trying to wrap this gift. And the owner came into the back and saw what I was doing and said, dear, sorry, you are about as handy as a one-armed paper hanger. I remember that specifically. One-armed paper hanger. I think you better leave. My eyes filled up with tears, and I just had the scissors in my hand. And I turned around, and Coco was right behind me. And I stabbed Coco in the neck. Yes, true story. I stabbed Coco. Now, I mean, I didn't ram it through, although I kind of felt like it. This dog was an annoying dog. Anyway, okay, kind of gave a little stab, and Coco, and she looked at me, I looked at her. I turned around and ran out of that store so fast, ran all the way to the train station. I was, at that point, taking the train back to my house, waiting for the train, crying, thinking the police were going to come and get me. The police were going to arrest me. No cell phones, of course. No way to call my parents. So I got on the train, came home, and yes, my father said she had called and said, fortunately the dog was okay, but she never wanted to see me again. So you can imagine that never, ever, ever did I go back to the clothes horse. I used to drive by sometimes and shudder. Oh my God. So indeed, uh, my daughter reminded me that that was really my first job. Wow. Did that ever tell the future, right? Yeah, yeah. So I kind of zigzag there a little bit, and I want to get back to the Keith stories. Um, okay, now let's see. Where did we leave off? We left off with me telling you the story of the shoes and the nailing down and of the shoes and his temper and his crazy partner, and things were just moving along. My sisters and I then had decided that we were going to try to figure out the best way to try to get rid of Keith if we could, um, somehow. He kept apologizing and then would flare up again and apologizing. Okay, so one weekend, my sister came to visit with her two boys. They were about my son's age. And when they got together with my son, they were like hellraisers all over the neighborhood. I mean, it was really, they used to tease the girls across the street. I mean, it was a disaster, right? Um, but funny stories of my sister's boys and my son in years to come, believe me. Anyway, so one night, my sister Tony was there and with her boys and Bob, and they were just acting out crazy, throwing pillows. Okay. Um, Crazy Hellman was upstairs trying to sleep. So my sister said, "Oh my God, with his temper, you know, we better, boys, stop." Well, they didn't stop. All of a sudden, I have this picture so clearly in my mind, and I forget what I was doing last week, right? All of a sudden, we're in the den downstairs, and we hear the door upstairs slam, and I went, uh-oh. And I can picture him now walking down those stairs in his white terry cloth bathrobe. Yes, ominously looking, walking down the stairs. I just stood there and said, I know it's noisy. We're trying to calm these kids down. We're trying to, and the look on his face. He storms into the den. "Everybody shut up. I'm trying to sleep." And we were just stunned. My sister was stunned. With that, he turned around, and on his way back up the stairs, he started banging against the wall. Every time he went up a step, he banged. We were, oh. Okay. My sister looked at me and said, "Okay, we better accelerate our plan to get rid of this jerk." Okay? So, yes, then we knew there was a little urgency. Okay? A little urgency. However, he didn't want to leave. Oh, no. He was happy time with Daryl, unfortunately. But I kept receding back and forth and back and sticking up for myself a lot more. Okay, so just before we started to be successful, my sisters and I, and in that we were, back then you looked in the newspaper for places to rent. Okay. And we were busy looking at the newspapers for places to rent. Now, I'd like to mention that Keith had a motorcycle. He was a motorcycle rider. He was a terrible driver behind the wheel with his tank, but he had a motorcycle, and believe it or not, he was a very safe motorcycle driver. Anyway, he kept asking me to go on the motorcycle. Come on the bike with me. No, really, no. Finally, I sort of broke down. I was so tired of fighting him with everything. I said, "Okay, let's just go like around the block or around the neighborhood, around the community." Okay, it was a nice day. And so I got on the back of the, hold on, I need a sip for this. You might too. My dark horse Chardonnay. It's always good. Okay, so I got on the back of his, I think it was a BMW motorcycle back then. And it was a nice day, and he started to venture more, out more of our community. And I'm like, okay, Keith, this is fun. This is fun. But, I really want to, I want to get home. Now, mind you, he had ridden that motorcycle many times safely with nothing happening. But, yep. So we were on our way back, and we were going through this town that was a little busier than my little town. And we were riding through the town on our way back, and some older gentleman was riding behind the motorcycle and decided that he couldn't see us that well. So he clipped us, thereby causing the motorcycle to go down. Yeah, it went down. And we went with it. True story. We went with it. I went skidding along the road. He went in another direction. Of course, we had helmets on. I was lying there in the road, just oh my God. People gathered. Some really nice gentleman came up. Did not identify himself as a doctor. I even back then, they didn't. If there was an accident, they were a little cautious, liability. And I was, in pain. My left knee. Yes, the left knee was in pain. And at that point, someone had called an ambulance. I was, believe it or not, right around the corner from a hospital, a large hospital, right around the corner. So, meantime, Keith, instead of rushing over to see how his wife was lying on the ground, Keith was going after the old man. Yes, the old man in his car. He was running over, screaming and yelling and cursing, probably ready to beat him up. Yeah. People gathered and, somebody was shouting, stop it. And I guess he stopped. At that point, when the ambulance was coming around the corner to pick me up, he came over. Are you okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? No. Okay. I was wheeled into the emergency room, and a couple of the nurses who were there on the stretcher, by the stretcher, said to me, dear, what the heck were you doing on a motorcycle? You're so young. See, back then, motorcycles were. And I said, I don't know. I don't know. So they fixed up my leg. I actually didn't break anything. When you're young, your bones are strong. Didn't break anything, but, horrible problem with my knee and bruising. And I was on crutches for a couple of weeks. Okay. Meantime, my sisters and I found some places in the newspaper. We found some places to rent. Yeah. So we were narrowing down for me to have the big talk. The big talk. I was putting that off until I, could recover more sufficiently, which I did, and planning and plotting now. What's the right time? What's the right thing to do? Okay. So the next chapter of the Keith Hellman story, okay, gets really interesting. But I'm giving you in stages as we go along. And sometimes I remember when I'm finished doing my videos, I think, oh my God, I forgot that story, because there are so many of them. But yeah. So I'm just going to tell you that you are going to hear good things coming up now about Keith Hellman. Good things, because I found a way. It wasn't easy, but I found a way. So when you tune in next time, I'm going to give you the next chapter of the story. And, it's really funny, but there was something else that I was going to say in this video, but, the 80-year-old memory, folks. Yeah. And I'm going to just make sure that I save it for next time. And it's funny, I keep thinking about how many stories I have and thinking, okay, well, I survived long enough to tell you all these stories. And what I want to do too is I want to bring in more friends, more people along the way that that I still have as friends from my various jobs. And I would guess I just wanted to mention a couple of them. Actually, my oldest and dearest friend is a woman named Barbara. And Barbara and I went to high school together. hundreds of years ago. We went to high school together. And then that first job at New Jersey Bell Telephone Company, I kept my dear friend Elaine. She's still in my life. So you will see, and I've probably mentioned this before, as you go on through your life with jobs, a job is a job, but keep those friends. You know, if there are people that you really like and you can relate to, sometimes it takes a little work on your part after you leave. And you say, I'm going to make sure that I keep in touch with those wonderful friends, because that's what life is all about, family and friends, right? Okay, I wish you all have a really good night, and I will be back with you very enthusiastically. And I hope you're all good, and I hope you all be safe. Bye bye.